to this conversation now. Embattled National Assembly Speaker Nosiviwe Mapisa-Nqakula expected to appear before the ANC's Integrity Commission sometime this week. She is accused of receiving millions in kickbacks from a contractor in exchange for tenders during her time as Defence Minister. For more on the governing party's damage control measures ahead of the elections, we speak now to leadership expert who doubles up as organisational strategist, Dr Mazwe Majola. Dr Majola, good evening to you and thank you for your time. How should the ANC be dealing with this matter?
It's a good evening, colleague. Good evening, my brother. Thank you very much. It's a good step for the ANC Integrity Commission to summon the Speaker to the Commission. It's showing that really ANC means business and is very serious when it says it's not going to tolerate corruption and malfeasance and briberies. So that's a very, very good thing in terms of in terms of confidence and building trust to the electorate. So the Speaker will obviously appear to the Commission. What is very important is that once the Commission has made some findings, whether they are adverse findings or whatever findings, the NEC must be aligned with the Commission, because there's been many instances when the Integrity Commission has made some findings and some recommendations, only to find that the NEC, because of its protectionism and defending the one of their own, and then find that they're belittling or deriding or even rejecting the findings. So it will up to the NEC of the ANC whether they really mean business, whatever the Commission is recommending. Then the NEC must also show that they mean business when they say they are fighting corruption.
So let's reflect for a moment on what has happened thus far since these allegations have resurfaced. The Speaker has taken a decision to go on a leave of absence. The ANC's Integrity Commission has now summoned her, but she has not been officially charged by the police. But the matter is before court, and so we'll have to await that decision as to whether or not the prosecuting authority can then, of course, in line with the police, decide to charge her. There is often reference to an individual's conscience. Do you think the Speaker has done that because she is a leader in her own right? Do you think she's exercised enough individual conscience here in order to appease the public?
She has failed dismally, you know, if she was a good leader, exercising that ethical and moral judgment and conscience, she would have resigned, you know, and not this thing of leave of no absence or what not, because this is it's actually putting the organization between a rock and a hard place. Because if the Speaker is not resigning and the motion of no confidence by DA continues, now the organization will be between that rock and the hard place in terms of they can't throw her under the bus. They need to defend her and use their majority as they've been doing before in terms of defending one of their own from impeachment. But while they are doing that, and also there will be then it's a self-destruction, because now they will be showing the public and the electorate that they are defending someone who is found wanting or who is fighting corruption or bribery case. So it would have been nice for the speaker just to resign. It would have been much better for herself so that she can focus on this case. The problem is that many leaders, especially political leaders, they think that when you resign on your own volition, it's it's tantamount to an admission of guilt. So they will fight and fight and fight. But as she's doing that now, she is unfortunately putting the whole organization at risk, because whatever happens, the organization must now try to defend her. So that would have been herself. But secondly, it's the leader, in the leader of the president of Ramaphosa. If Ramaphosa was a decisive leader and a leader with conscience and a courageous leader, she would have told the speaker and say, look, this is a crunch time now. You know that we are just left with few weeks before elections. The electionary season, we are not saying you are guilty or whatever, but for the sake of the organization, it would be better if you resign so that we can focus on the task that is at hand, which is winning the election. So this thing now, it's going to really test the ANC when it says we are fighting corruption, we don't tolerate corruption. How is it going to handle the speaker's situation?
The longer this drags on, Dr. Majola, we now know that a court has got to make a decision on whether or not, or perhaps why, the speaker should be charged or not charged. We simply don't know how the court is going to rule there. The longer this drags out, is it becoming more and more difficult for ordinary South Africans to believe the ANC and by extension its government that it is putting a distance between itself and those charged with malfeasance?
You see, actually, this week or next week, because I think the court will make its ruling on the 2nd of April, if I'm not mistaken, on Tuesday. This week, it's going to be a very, very important week for the speaker, but also for the ANC. As I'm saying, it's going to test the organization's ability to make unpopular decisions, whatever way, because if the court continues to grant the NPA or the court charges the speaker, then of course the speaker must resign or must step down as per the ANC's ruling. But now, as you are saying, you can see that the speaker is taking the road of really trying to drag this matter. Of course, as one can say, it's her right, but unfortunately, it's at a detrimental of the organization. It's going to be, or it's very injurious for the organization if this matter is dragged. That is why, at some stage, and actually very sooner, the organization must take a stand, a very unpopular decision, to ask the speaker to resign, because otherwise it must now come to a stage whether is it about an individual or over the organization, or it's about the organization as they are preparing for the election. So you need now very decisive and courageous and bold leaders to take decision and say, in a case like this, how we want to solve this problem. But let me just talk about NPA as well, Oli. I just hope that NPA really has done its thorough background and investigation, and they've done their homework, because to charge someone during this time, in an electioneering time, is also very risky. If it appears one day that the NPA did not make its homework correctly, whether the case is withdrawn or the case is thrown out, whatever, that will be a huge mistake or mishap for the NPA, because it will appear as though it was a political manipulation. Why the timing? Why now, just before the 29th of May? Why this thing is brought now?
Yeah.
So everything is very risky. But hopefully the NPA knows its business, and it's only their right to make sure that obviously they charge the speaker, because they've got there should be any fear or favor for anyone, irrespective of rank or position, but they must make sure that they know what they are doing.
Dr. Mazwe Majola, I couldn't have said it better. Thank you very much for your time. We know the history of the NPA over the last decade, and they too have been doing something of a cleanup exercise.